What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm something a little different. Today we're going to be ranking each of the DLC bosses from the Cuphead DLC, obviously. So we've got all the bosses, I believe. We have all the chest bosses and all the main bosses plus the secret boss. So we're just going in order, and throughout the video I'm going to be showing clips of the what I'm referring to in the video. So yeah, and it's going to be timestamps to each of the bosses that I referred to. Alright, but before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. What I've seen from the YouTube analytics is that 99% of you haven't subscribed yet. What is going on? Please subscribe. Please like the video and subscribe if you guys want more content like this. I know, I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've recorded anything. It's just I've been busy. So yeah, let's get into it with that out of the way. Alright. So the first boss is Sheriff Winchester. Now, this boss, I would say, when I first played the game, and by the way, I'm going to be ranking them all on expert mode. So whatever the boss is, I'm going to be ranking them on expert mode, the main bosses at least, the King's Gauntlet and the secret boss, and have extra mode, so I'm just going to be ranking them of how they actually are. But each of the main bosses I'm going to be ranking on expert mode. So I'm going to put her for expert mode. She isn't really that bad from regular. It's kind of the same. It's not that different of how she is. So I'm gonna rank her at a B. Exactly where I put her. I put her exactly where I think that she would be, because the only different thing is the first phase. The first phase is a lot more bullet hellish. I know the entire boss fight is bullet hell, but this in particular is not that bad because of it being literally the same shit as regular mode. So that's why I'm gonna be putting her at B tier. I'm not gonna rank him yet. We're gonna rank him last because he's the fucking hardest. You know what? Let's do all the main bosses first, and then we'll do the secret bosses and the Gauntlet. So next up we have Glumstone the Giant. I will also put him at a B tier for expert mode because he's also basically the same as his regular mode. He is not that bad of a boss. In regular mode even, you just have to understand the patterns, you know, that's for every single boss, of course, but him in particular is not that bad. It's just the second phase and the first phase that's kind of like tricky. But once you understand how the mechanic works and how, you know, if you play the regular mode long enough, then X mode is gonna be super easy. Like, that's just gonna be like a walk in the park for you. So not that bad, which is why I'm putting him in B tier. And as for the last phase, as long as you know where the bone is, it's completely easy. I would say the second phase is actually harder than the first phase, being that the ball bounces faster. The gnomes coming from the bottom that jump is a lot more. So it's a lot more bullet hellish, plus dodging the goddamn ball. Next up is the dogs, and I'm putting them at, I would say, C tier. C or D? I'd say C. I'd say C tier. Because this boss in particular, the only threat to you in this boss is the last phase. Because the first phase, you already know the attacks. You can just dodge them, just come in different variations. It's the same attacks, but they just come, you know, let's say for the tattoo, when he shoots his bones at you, usually it's bottom to top, but it's random now. So, but it's not that big of a deal. The only issue is the last phase and Canteen Hughes, his plane driving. For action mode, he just wants to drive close to the bosses for whatever reason. He's the main villain, you know. He's preying on our downfall. That's literally that's just RNG of where he flies the plane. But the last phase is specifically the only part of the fight that is a big deal. And honestly, I say it's a big deal, but it's not even a big deal whatsoever because it's literally the same thing as the regular. This boss is probably the boss that is basically the regular mode, but it's just Canteen Hughes driving close to the bosses, and you take damage easier. So I would say this isn't that big of a deal either. So that's why I'm putting it at C. It's not D tier because it's not piss easy. It's still hard because it's a fucking mainline boss. But I'd say it's the hardest boss in the mainline bosses out of everyone, if you guys get what I'm saying. Next up is the Ice Witch known as Mortimer Freeze. He is the second hardest at A tier. His second phase, his first phase is absolutely easy. Like, it's not that big of a deal to dodge his stuff. It's mostly the second phase and the last phase of the fight which gives you absolute AIDS. First of all, his ice picks, for like the come from the bottom, his ice, whatever they call spikes. The spikes come up from the ground. They come out. There's no way to dodge them. You literally have to either double jump, or with Cuphead, you have to jump and dodge their ass. And they make the AI smarter, and by smarter, they just code them in a way where he combos attacks now. Just does combinations. So, for example, he would become a fridge in his fridge phase, and he would shoot his ice cubes at you, and then he'd roll. So literally, it gives you no chance to dodge anything. Like, it's absolute roll. That's what I'm saying. And plus, his ice popsicles that he throws out afterwards. And the last phase, the infamous eyeball, it shoots every single second. Every second, it goes like hell. But everything else, I say the cones aren't that bad, I'd say, but the buckets aren't that bad either. It's just the eyeball and the second phase, the full second phase. I would recommend playing as Miss Chalice for this in expert mode. If you play as Cuphead, it's doable, but the second phase you kind of need the roll or the smoke dash. But the roll is kind of easier, and plus you have a double jump with Miss Chalice. So yeah, that's that. Next up here we have, you know what? Fuck it. We're just gonna rank fucking Chef Saltbaker now. So Saltbaker, there's nothing to explain here. He's just an absolute beast. Like, he's like, it's literally the first. The regular mode, but on steroids. He has two of those motherfuckers rolling around the ground, the fire fuckers that he has. It's literally them. He has two of them, and then he's just spamming you with abilities every second. Like, you get no breaks. And then the second phase, the two fuckers are still there, and he throws more of the peppermints. The third phase, there's two of those razor blades on the bottom, and you can't skip the phase anymore because he has more health. And he has more health. Last phase and third phase, he has 10 times more health than he usually does. It takes forever for him to die. I can't tell you how many times I made it to the last phase in extra mode and just completely fail because of his health. And you get there with like 2 or 3 HP, you lose it all because he has 10 million health. It's stupid. But that's why he's at S tier. His fight is just on A's. If you guys haven't tried this is a challenge. This is probably the hardest boss in the entire game. The main game plus this. Extra mode is Saltbaker. His regular boss fight is hard enough. This makes it 10 times more harder. So that's why he's gonna be S tier in this tier list. And this is probably gonna be the only other S tier boss in the game. Next, let's get to the secret boss. This is going to be B tier, I'd say, because it's not that hard, but you do have to figure out the mechanic. The mechanic is kind of hard to figure out. If you're playing a Miss Chalice, I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal because you can just roll under everything. Actually, if you have Smoke Dash or Miss Chalice, you can just dodge all of the abilities being thrown at you. If you don't, you can just do whatever you want. You just have to use the mechanic to beat the boss. It's hard at the beginning, but you know, you kind of get the gist of it, and once you understand the mechanic, like the rest of these bosses, you get through it, and it's not that hard. But with the mechanic roadblock, that's why I put it at B tier. Next is the Knight. I would say D tier. This boss is probably the easiest boss in the King's Gauntlet. Again, self-explanatory as like every single boss in this game. You have to figure out the mechanic, and once you figure it out, it becomes easier. And this one is the definition of it becomes easier, because you literally just have to stay within range, and he does 3 out of his 4 attacks that he can do. If you stay a mile away from him, he just swoops across the screen. If you stay within distance, he can either do 3 things. He can go across the screen, but it's not instant like the 4th attack. He does his uppercut, or he does his whole whatever it is. I don't know what the hell he's doing. His whole swivel. His whole drives across the screen, and you just have to parry the top of him. And I would say that's the reason why it's there. It's not that hard. All you have to do is be patient. It's literally that easy. I say it's easy, but I had to, honest to God, I had to search up how to do this, guys. I did not understand what the mechanic was at the beginning, but when I did, it becomes easy. So I'm literally telling you this. It literally became easy. Now for the Bishop, I'll also put it at D tier. Because, I say C tier. I put a C tier. I'll put a D tier. D tier because, again, it's not that hard. The only mechanic is you have to parry him and blow out the candles. It's just like literally the Knight is equivalent to this. Like, it's literally the same shit. Realistically, every boss is like this, but this and the Knight are equal skill. Like, it's the only thing that's bad about it is that he could probably spawn on you at some points, but that's just luck. And run on you, like close to you, but you're able to dodge him easy. So yeah, that's why he's gonna be at D tier. Next up, the Rook. I'll put that one at actually B tier because this one's actually a challenge. You have to be able to track. You have to track what you're parrying, and you have to do it multiple times and dodge multiple things on screen, because some of the stuff you can parry, some of the stuff you can't parry. It does get pretty hard over time. It gets faster and faster and faster, which happens with a bunch of these bosses, except for the night boss, which doesn't get fast whatsoever. So yeah, that's gonna be a B tier. I'd say it's the second hardest boss in the King's Gauntlet. Also, I forgot to rank a regular boss, so I'm gonna do it right now. Bootlegger Boogie. I will put that expert mode, I'd say, with the Mortimer Freeze. He or they they do put up a good challenge. I'd say the biggest thing about it is the first and third phase, the last phase especially, not the third phase, the last phase. It's because the first phase, so much shit on screen. There's so many bombs you have to dodge, plus a bunch of the fly motherfuckers, plus the caterpillar he throws and everything. Second phase is like the regular mode. You can just dodge easy, like if you have Smoke Dash or Miss Chalice. But the first phase, dodge everything. You cannot be tunnel vision. You have to be aware of your surroundings. But the last phase is probably the hardest thing in the fucking fight because of the tongue. The tongue isn't that bad, but the biggest risk is the clutter that he shoots, you know, with everyone together. He can shoot, I don't know how much he can shoot up to. I got to 3 that he shot. It'd probably be more. But yeah, that you have to dodge like a fucking bull. You have to either dodge it or kill them, and you have to do that while multitasking to attack the trunk, which is another challenge. But yeah, I recommend playing Miss Chalice. Miss Chalice is 10 times easier on this fucking boss, because she can just dodge everything like easy. Cuphead's Smoke Dash is pretty useful for this. So yeah, do whatever you want for this boss fight, but I'd say it's A tier on hardness in the extra mode difficulty. It doesn't rank with Winchester and Glumstone. It just doesn't, because they're basically the same as the regular mode, just one phase is hard. So let's get back to the King's Gauntlet. Queen, C tier. Does not rank with the Rook whatsoever. The only hard thing about it is, I guess, aiming. Aiming's not even hard. I'd say it's the bullet hell and the lions. The lions do come fast. They come really, really fast. The bullet hell isn't that bad. Dodging her gold when she throws it, not that bad. If you get multiple shots on her, it's a really fast fight. I say I would put it in D tier if for me. I'd put it on D tier. But in general, I would say C tier. It's not as easy as the Knight or Bishop, but it's not as hard as the Rook, which is why I'm putting it in C tier. It's not that bad. But the pawns I'm putting on S tier because of their stupid ass running. Like, they just run across the floor. It's stupid. This is the only this is honestly the only in the gauntlet. I did the gauntlet. This is the only fight in the King's Gauntlet that I actually died to, and it's dumb. They literally multiple run around on the ground. It gets faster and faster as the boss goes on. It gets harder to parry, and even as Miss Chalice, you might think it's easy to parry on the floor, but it's not. You take damage even. You have to be able to jump and time everything. It's stupid. But yeah, I would say it ranks on S tier as a King's Gauntlet thing. I'm not ranking these with the mainline bosses because they're completely different. Then there's no extra mode for them. So yeah, that is my tier list. Whatever you guys' opinion is, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of my one, and let me know what yours is. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you guys did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you guys are doing with the game. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments below. As always, at the end of every video, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see y'all next time.